kids are out of school tomorrow, so they have a remote learning day. I'm not excited about it. I'm over it. They have been out of school for like a month. I'm just over it. I need to go to the doctor. I have stuff I need to do, so we'll get there. Hopefully they'll go back on Tuesday. I know they're doing it, as a precaution. So I'm not, upset about the decision. It's just like, oh, child, y'all need to go back to damn school because good God Almighty. Good God Almighty. "2024 was crazy." 2024 was so insane. It's really hard to recap. There was a lot of high points. So let me talk about, I guess, the top 3 high points. So I had surgery. It wasn't like a emergency or anything like that. It needed to be done, so that was nice. I learned how to rest in that process, so that was helpful. Um, I don't know. I gotta count it as a good thing because of the time that I have now and the way that my life has changed. Even over the last few months, was given rid of fiber space. That was, I guess, a really good thing. I was having a hysterectomy, and like the week before I had it, I went to the beach. And the beach is where I go for like solitude or when I, need to ground myself. And it was really hard. Like I had all these feelings of doubt and then like these new feelings of insecurity. Like I'm not going to be a woman anymore. I'm not going to be whole anymore. I'm not going to be whatever. And, there's no chance of me having any more children. There's no chance of this daughter that I dreamed of. Like, there's no chance for any of that anymore. And I don't know. I think it was probably just the hormones making me crazy about it. Because once I had the surgery done, and one, I didn't have to go through the physical pain of all the things. Like I had a fibroid the size, of my uterus, and it was on the outside, so it was like a twin uterus, which is crazy. That's another revelation I just had, but we'll talk about that later as well. But it was really interesting how much better I felt on the other side of it, even mentally, maybe especially mentally. It did take a few months for like my hormones to figure themselves out. Like right when I got it done, like that first month, if I got angry, it was like big anger. Like I hadn't gone through that kind of anger since like puberty. But I don't know. I felt so much better after I did it. It was really a big, and mind you, I've had the opportunity to do it 7 years, 8 years before. So it was something that should have been done a long time ago, but I don't know. I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready before. I think right now is the perfect time, and it taught me to rest. So leading into the second point, I had some really like fine-tuned relationships, learned different things about myself along the way with different friendships, different levels of friendships, and how we understand how friends are. My oldest son moved out. That was really fun. That was something he really wanted to do. And it was really nice to see him put it together so he could get out of the house under his own roof, under his own, rules. I'm really, really proud of him. I don't worry about him at all. So that was really exciting. What else? I went to the beach a lot. That was dope. I went to the beach a lot this summer. I went with two really close friends, two really good friendships that came out of 2024. And yeah, so what else happened? I don't know. Those are the good things. Those were the good things. Some of the bad things were really, really bad things. I would say what, like, first going into what my biggest mistake of 2024 was definitely second guessing myself. when I was in the Air Force, I had a instructor when I selected my job, and she told us never second guess ourselves when we were on like taking a test. She said never second guess yourself, and she said always go where you go, always go where you go. And I kind of it stuck with me mostly, and I have found that anytime that I second guess myself, it never comes out good. It never comes out good. At the beginning of the year, right at the end of the year last year, I expanded with my staff, and we had a team, and we decided to expand location. So we got a second location, and it was 4 times the size of our current location and probably 6 times the cost of our current location. And just in the plan, it made sense that we would do certain things to increase the traffic. But it was like every step I took, there was like 3, 4 obstacles in the way every single day. A month into it, ended up losing pretty much half the staff. Well, it was 2, 3 people. And it became a burden between the two or between, me between the two spaces, because I'm only one person. And then, of course, I have my children. At the time, I was going through things, with my body, right, leading up into my surgery. So it was getting pretty hard. Then around March, April timeframe, I needed some work done in one of the spaces, and I had been on my landlord for a while. And like since we had moved in November, so it had been going on like 5 months by then, 4 or 5 months. So I hired someone that I knew that said that they could do the work. They came in. I wasn't there. I was doing like some one of my friends, her mother passed away, and I was doing makeup for her mom, and she I had him come fix it. And by the time I got back, it was like a little leak, and I figured, oh, that was just because it's been tampered with, whatever. And I put a bucket under the door, like under the ceiling, didn't think too much of it. And then the next morning, my neighbor at the space was on my, like, called at like 7 o'clock and was like, hey, it's like raining inside a fiber space. I was like, what? So I live like 30 minutes away, and I jump in the car and get down there. There's water everywhere. The whole first floor is completely covered. And we're talking a good 1,500 square feet space that's covered in 6 inches of water pouring out of the ceiling from the second floor. And it was like, what the hell? And mind you, the person in that space had just moved up, so all their stuff was in there on the second floor. But luckily, it all came down through the floor, and it really didn't get any of their stuff wet. So that was a positive out of nowhere. So from there, I called him back. I was like, yo, this thing flooded the whole space. I got it under control, got the water off, got everything cleaned up. The building really handled it very well. It was very well designed. And the building is like 200 years old. So it was very, very well designed for that level of water to just drain itself out. It was dry before I had a chance to do anything. I was like, oh, this is nice. This is nice. So still spent the money because I had to get the floors clean, the carpets clean, mildew inspected, all those things. So it still cost me a pretty penny that I had to come up with, by myself, because again, we had just lost staff. We were running the boutique, so there are taxes and all those things that still have to be paid. But even though the boutique wasn't as active, embracing change and stepping out of your comfort zone, especially stepping out of your comfort zone. Something I had to learn to do, which I still really struggle with, was asking for help. Just not, on everything. Even the things that, especially the things that I thought I could tackle myself, or I thought I had, already put together, had a system around, and it really challenged the systems that I had. The systems that I had only supported me or allowed me to support myself. It didn't allow for other people to do so. I had just relied completely on myself. So I really had to adjust some of my systems and some of my routines around the people that support me. For example, understanding that I wasn't able to do a lot after my surgery. So my mom and my niece had to come over and do certain things. And it was nothing for them to come over and do it. And then like a couple of weeks later, I got, still pretty, battling fatigue a good amount. And I was talking to my mom and she, didn't really say anything, but I called her back. I was like, can you and Naya come back and help me, do laundry and stuff like that? She was like, we'd be more than happy to. So that was even, of course, it's my mom and my niece, but I still nothing, like I would never normally ask for that, ask for that. So that was a big step. And I think it was a good, place to start with. Obviously my mom, she loves helping. So I'm just even moving on to just the different relationships, really questioning the relationships that I have with other people, I think was really important. I was really figuring out what place we had with each other, how we could be better friends, how we could be better partners, how we could be better people for ourselves. So that way we weren't just giving ourselves to this idea or this, facade of a friendship or a relationship, really bringing the things that we, wanted out of it. And if it was to the point where it wasn't what we wanted, then we could say, hey, this is not what we want. Let's go ahead and move along, or let's go ahead and grow this thing. So just depends on, the opportunity to do it. But again, just take the time to recognize your support system. Again, really, really step out of whatever it is that has you scared. Fear is a funny thing because fear is much worse than, reality, in my opinion. And the things that happen, the things you can think of when you're scared, you can make so many excuses, you can make so many things, happen for the sake of being afraid to talk yourself out of things or not accomplish things. But really, like, there's what's gonna happen, other than you not getting the result that you were gonna get if you didn't do anything anyway. So that is really also the approach that I'm taking for asking people. I think it's just really the vulnerability that comes to say, hey, I need your help. I need something. We're kind of trained to not need help, to be able to do things on our own. You bootstrap it, you make your way. But a lot of that is not true. You definitely need other people. We see examples in the Bible of, people surrounded. Even Jesus had a gang. So if we don't do these things alone, we have to, have a crew. We have to have people around us that support us, and they want to support us. They want us to do good. So it doesn't even bother them to support us. So make sure that we're tapping into that. So that was my lesson for myself. But again, make sure that you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Do something that you wouldn't normally do, and then make that normal, and then do something scarier, and then do something scarier. Because again, the worst that can happen is no, or it doesn't work. You know what I mean? But if it doesn't work, then you're just right there where you at. You might have sacrificed some time, you might have sacrificed some money, but fail fast, right? Don't keep throwing your money and your time at it. Get some help early in whatever the task may be, so you're not drowning, okay? So yeah, the opportunity to self-reflect. This year, I, again, second guessed quite a bit. There were so many places where I didn't have boundaries, and I just felt not only run down, but run over. Like I felt taken advantage of in so many places. Again, because my heart wants to do a thing, my passion wants to do a thing, but sometimes, not to say that people don't know how to treat it, is you don't know how to tell them. I didn't know how to, set the expectations that I didn't want to be treated a certain way, or certain things weren't a certain way. And I had to eat that. I had to eat a lot of that this year. And then also so many sacrifices that I willingly make in spaces that don't deserve it. The things that you do, the opportunities you take to support people or to support causes or what have you, and it doesn't come back in any way. So it made me question, especially coming towards the second half of the year and into the fourth quarter, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I went to the beach a couple of times. Like I said, the beach is my place of solitude. It's where I can just, whatever, I can just sit and melt into the sand and then cast my cares away with the sea. I can, consider all the problems I have, and it still wouldn't be more than the grain of sand in my hand. You walk and you can just people watch. You can observe how people are when they're free. I love the beach. I love the beach. And it just gives me time to sit and just think. As thoughts, the tide rolls in, the tide rolls out, it comes to shore, the waves come in, the waves go out. You have time to repeat things, to be one with yourself. And I love the beach. And like I said, I went twice this year. And the second time was really, really nice. And I spent a lot of time at the beach. And I really enjoy just being in the sand, getting dirty. Like, I love that. I love it. So I said, I got to do more of that. I have to do more of that for myself and for my family. I had to kind of sit down in, mode of self-reflection and say, what are you doing? And then more importantly, say, what is God doing? How is what I'm doing lining up with God's supposed to have me doing? And I go through this, my why, cultivate creativity, and others today can share their gifts and talents with the world. And I rolled into, maybe it's my opportunity to share my gifts and talents with the world. So that allows people to share their gifts and talents with the world. And I feel like, as I drew up a strategy, as I drew up the copy and the verbiage and the things, it was like I felt like my hand got slapped in a way. It was like, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be doing my job. You're supposed to cultivate the creativity of others so they can share their God-given gifts with the world. I was like, oh, that's a new part of the why. He was like, well, maybe for you, it's a new part, but for me, this was the plan all along. So I said, okay. Now I'm at the fourth quarter. I have 2 buildings, $15,000 a month in rent and utilities, and half that in the revenue. What do I do? What do I do? I'm tired. My body's run down. My mind is run down. My heart is run down. Everything. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. Lord, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. So we get back to this resting thing. All right. One thing I learned after surgery was I need more rest than I thought. So I said, okay, I'm going to take the opportunity. If everything lines up, everything start. Once I said, okay, all right, Lord, I'm going to close it. I'm going to close it. It felt like a prison. It was like somewhere I had to be. I wasn't able to go help people share their gifts and talents of the world because I was inside of the walls of 227 and 229. And the moment I let it go, there were so many opportunities that came across my lap, and I had time to just breathe for the first time in probably, like, mind you, when I started Fiberspace, I was still working at my previous job, and I had been there for 18 years at the time. So I've been working nonstop since I was 16. I went in the Air Force at 17, got out at 21, had my son at AT&T, 21 to 40-ish, almost 40. Yeah. Till 40, yeah. So, this was really the first time I've not had to just press every single day. Every single day. And it really made me reevaluate where I was spending my time and what I felt like luxury was. I left a 6-figure job. So it was like, because I didn't want to miss things with my kids. I didn't want to deal with the stress of that every single day. It was killing me. Either one, either one, when I would have been out of here, I would have been out. But I had to make the decision to say, all right, regardless of what it looked like. And I'm gonna tell you what, like, you sit around and you think that, such and such is gonna say something, oh, this is gonna be disappointed. Don't nobody care. Don't nobody care. If they cared, they would have been there. You wouldn't have been in that position. And that's just what it is. And it's okay that they don't care. I had to tell myself that too. This was my passion project. This was how I saw the way to do the thing that God wanted me to do. So at least I was trying, right? Like, at least I was putting in that effort. And if nothing else, it taught me how to build a community. It put me in spaces. It gave me great opportunities. So I can't ever look back at the situation and say, oh, it was such a bad thing, whatever. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. I love it. That's my baby. But looking at the opportunities that I have now make so much the difference of some of the harder lessons that I learned this year to get me to the point that I am right now. I want to talk more about reframing your perspective. So when Fiberspace flooded, I was in shambles because it did it twice. So I didn't tell y'all that. Like, the guy came back and he fixed it and it happened again. Worser. Like, worse than the first time. And that caused, quite a bit of issue there. But I was like, okay, what is the light, at the end of this tunnel here? I learned an amazing amount on plumbing. So there were over, I think 40 to 50,000 feet of plumbing in that space. And I knew every shutoff valve. I knew where the main shutoff valve, I knew what a backflow was. I knew where all the hot water heaters were. Like, there was nothing in there I couldn't do. I could pull out a toilet. I could fix the sinks. Like, I wouldn't have been able to find that stuff. And that's kind of stuff that I like to do. I like to tinker and play and do stuff with stuff. So it was perfect for me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very, very much. And I wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn all of that kind of stuff if everything was perfect, right? Whatever. Whatever. Make sure that you get licensed and bonded people. Just because somebody doesn't mean that they're, certified to do the work. Just constantly have to be grateful. I think I try to always move from a place of gratitude. I don't like to complain at all. And I get anxious and antsy when I'm surrounded with complaints. I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because there's so much other, like, I could make up as many solutions as I could complaints. And I would rather spend my energy there than the complaining, because the complaining doesn't really do anything. Like, it feeds your emotion, it feeds your ego, but it doesn't really affirm anything, or it does affirm, your negative thoughts, really. So that's one way to look at it, but I'm not into it. I'm not into complaining much. I have to be grateful for everything that happens. It was quite a bit that happened this year that I think that I'm very grateful for. And just constantly having the opportunity to be like, okay, yes, this was bad. Yes, it made me sad. Yes, it made me mad. Yes, it made me glad. What things can I take from it? If it made me upset, how could I prevent that going forward? I could say, oh, I need to have boundaries because this is something that bothers me, but I never told this person that it bothers me. So now going forward, I'm gonna just say, hey, this is something that bothers me. And it doesn't have to be combative. It doesn't have to be in a way that, it's negative. It doesn't have to happen, and then it happens for me retroactively. I can be proactive and say, hey, these are the ways I like to be treated. And then even open conversation and community or communication with other people. So the opportunity to just kind of be grateful and face every situation with gratitude and figure out the positive that came out of every situation is really, really number one, I think, for this year. all of those things, all of the things that I lost led up to all the things that I will gain. I'm big on decluttering. So it just kind of makes sense that there was so much of my day-to-day life that needed decluttering. I didn't realize it was my job. I didn't realize it was my business. I didn't realize it was a lot of the, relationships that I had. So again, if it made room for all of that, I'm really excited to see what's about to happen. All right, so those were some of the things that I went through in 2024. 2025 is looking a little bit different. I am looking forward to maybe going back to school, or not going back to school. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Going back to the workforce to get, some time under my belt with my degree. I hadn't been able to use my degree yet. So I said, let me flex a little bit of my city planning, urban planning, justice studies focus degree, in those spaces that may help, whether it be city or institution work, what have you. But I'm looking forward to that. Jackson, my youngest, is really doing some fun stuff in aviation, so I would like to travel more. Traveling is something that is on our list. We have a couple of airports we want to see, internationally and domestic, and I want to be able to do that for him. I want to be able to provide him that, and I want to do it too. Like, y'all know I love to eat, I love to travel. So I would love to be able to do those things with Jackson. So that's one of my goals this year, and really to build a community. I'm very much surrounded by women, and I was led by women, but I'm also very close and honestly probably more emotionally attached to men. I have 2 boys. I've been married a few times. My dad is the oldest of 5 boys. So this thing, I don't know, I've done a lot of observation, and I feel like guys need space. They need the space that women, we naturally create for ourselves and for each other. I don't think the guys know how to do that quite a bit. So that's kind of another, like, the number one piece of feedback that I get from my male friends. And I just want to make sure that they have that space. And like, I'm openly and outwardly dedicated to making sure that a space exists. So as this channel grows, we'll talk through things. I want to make sure that your health is taken in consideration, your mind is taken into consideration, your emotions are taken, all of the emotions, right? All of the ones, even the ones you don't show or that show up in different ways. So this journey should be pretty fun. Again, looking forward to 2025. If you have not liked and subscribed by now, you could go ahead and hit that right now, and run through some of these old videos. Tell me what you guys want updated. Hit the comments in there. Ask me the questions, and I'll get more content on here. Definitely be here once a week-ish or so with updates, and we're really going to talk to it. So here's to a successful 2025. I'm so excited, and we will see y'all next week.